What's going on, guys? It's me again. Two videos today before stream. This is gonna be another one of my like PoE rant videos. I haven't done one of these since League started because I've been so busy with other stuff. But this is gonna be kind of about Scourge, and I did not script anything for this video, so if I get a little bit lost or I rant a little bit, forgive me. But I just if you've been frequenting my stream, you know that I have like mixed feelings on Scourge, mostly negative feelings, but I want to kind of go over like Scourge as a league, like as a league mechanic, and then I kind of want to go over the more important thing, I think, and that's the long-term implications of Scourge on the game. And I will, again, I'll have chapters and stuff down below, so if you want to just skip to the latter part and like my main concerns and stuff, then feel free to do that. But first up, Scourge. How do I feel about Scourge? Now, I wasn't making like constant videos like a lot of other content creators based on like the super early impressions and the you know, like the buffs and the changes they made to Scourge and stuff like that. Like I could have, but I didn't feel like it was super necessary. And I'll be honest, I felt like all of this stuff was going to change quite fast. I felt like Scourge was going to get buffed, certain things were going to get nerfed and other stuff, and I didn't want to make videos kind of like putting out my feelings on it until I kind of like felt it was finished. And at this point, it's been a few weeks into the league. They haven't really mentioned anything else in terms of the changes, so I'm just going to assume for the most part that this is the final product. Okay, now how do I feel about Scourge? Well, first we'll go over the actual mechanic, the entering, you know, Pringleville and killing demons. I think it's fine. Early on in the league, it was incredibly rippy until they nerfed the Blood Bros and the Lightning Bros. To give you an idea, I only ever entered Pringled Land whenever on my Berserker when I had Berserk up and I had Vol Molten Shell up. I never went past 50 stacks, and if I ever saw the Blood guys or the Lightning guys, I immediately ended the Scourge and didn't enter it for the rest of the map. That was how I played for the first few days until they nerfed the Lightning guys and the Blood guys because they were insanely overtuned. Obviously, also playing a Berserker, I have some extra max res, and then I have Berserk to help deal with the spell damage, but I don't have spell suppression and stuff, so it was even more noticeable for a build like mine. So that's how I played early on. After the nerfs, I felt really comfortable going to like 100, 120 stacks as long as my character was comfortable in the content. Characters that just get to maps, I typically, again, don't go past 50, but by the time I'm like in like mid to high yellows, and especially by the time I'm in red maps, my character's geared enough, I feel fine. I don't really feel in danger ever in the Scourge. I usually will cut myself off outside of min-maxing builds. I'll cut myself off around 100, 110 stacks at the absolute maximum. And I've had no issues with it. I haven't had really too many close calls with Scourge at all, except for the ones early on. And I had one on the Wintertide Occultist, because like I talked about in the build diary video, the scream that makes you take increased fizz damage just eats all your ghost shrouds. But yeah, I mean, Scourge has not felt super dangerous to me, so that's one thing. I'm gonna get into this a lot more later on like the perceived risk or the perceived like danger of Scourge. I have a lot to say on that regarding stuff I've seen on Reddit. But yeah, that's my impressions for now. It seems fine. I don't know. It seems definitely way easier than Delirium. The monsters run really fast, they move fast, which can be intimidating, but they fall over insanely easy. The bosses are a joke. Yeah, I don't know. It's just overall, it seems like a very simple, easy league mechanic, assuming you have some form of defense on your character and you're not, you know, juicing it like a crackhead. Next, I guess we'll go over the Scourged Maps. I absolutely hate the oven. I hate scourging things. I will go into the maps first, and then I will talk about the gear. So why do I hate Scourged Maps? They're incredibly rewarding. Yes, they are incredibly rewarding. Now, I absolutely hate that I can sit in Glennet Cairns, fully sextoned it out, running the full Legion spec Atlas tree, using Scarabs for Legion, and I will still get way more splinters by just running a Scourge tier 1 map. That's not even rolled. It's just a white map. A normal map, no mods on it whatsoever, outside of the Scourge stuff. Like, I absolutely hate it. Yes, it is incredibly rewarding. It is terrible game design. It's not fun. It's not engaging. I hate content that revolves around like old school quarry farming, where I want to like, I could map, I could do other things, but it's more beneficial for me to just sit in an Act 9 zone and run in circles. I hate content like that. It's like, it's so bad. I absolutely hate it, because then I feel like I have to choose between doing the incredibly efficient thing and like the normal like fun thing, which is progress my character through maps, or I can like just keep juicing stuff, sit in like tier 1, tier 2 maps and just infinitely juice Scourge maps, because that's the most effective way to do it. I hate it. All right, next up, I guess I can also say like some of the mods, you basically have to run them. Some of the mods are so ridiculous, you have to run them in low tier maps, even if you wanted to run them in higher tier maps. And I might add that you're always going to get the same amount of rare monsters in the map. So that's why everyone runs them white, right? You're always going to have the same amount of rare monsters in the Scourge. Like if you juice a Scourged map, you're just juicing the map portion of it and not the Scourge portion of it, if that makes sense. So you don't need to chisel it, you don't need to alch it, you don't need to transmute, you don't need like nothing. Okay, like any investment that you put into a Scourge map is only juicing the map portion of it and not the Scourge monsters. So you're still going to get the same amount of stuff regardless, and it's just ridiculous to me. Past that, the Scourge items, like you guys know what I'm going to say. It's ridiculous. The only time I've used items to Scourge is basically just to get the 6 links, right? Like I have a 45% chance scourging something 3 times to get a 6 link. Mind you, that's only worked once out of like the 12 times I've tried it, so I've just been really unlucky with that sense. The fusings, I've not 6 linked anything with the corrupted fusings. I've been very unlucky with that mechanic, but just in terms of like the actual act of scourging things and the mechanics behind it and the affixes that it puts on your gear, what the hell, man? All I can think about when I think of Scourge is Chris Wilson saying we were able to make multiple items through Scourge while leveling that were stronger than leveling uniques. I mean, what? Like, I have yet to see any mod that is like even remotely close to a Gold Rim or a Tabula or a Red Beak or a Screaming Eagle or Wanderlust or like whatever, man. The mods are almost universally trash. It's never worth the risk to corrupt your things. It has a very high chance to brick. It got a little bit better when they made it so you can't have conflicting mods, such as additional fire damage, can't deal fire damage, but like still like getting like 13 fizz reflect, 13 damage reflected to mobs anytime you're hit, and in return you have like 58% reduced global defenses. Like what the fuck is that, dude? I'm sorry, like come on, man. So I've completely foregone scourging things. I don't really interact with the mechanic at all outside of scourging tier 1 maps, excuse me, for Legion Splinters, because I need like 5 Glorious Vanities this league and 2 Lethal Prides. So I'm just farming Legion forever and I'm super sad. Even if it was like a little bit less efficient, I would prefer to just juice Glennet Cairns, but Glennet Cairns in its nerf state in an SSF environment is not friendly at all. I understand Grimroad just made a video talking about how good it is for Trade League. That's not the case in SSF, where obviously resources to juice those maps are a lot more limited. It's just not, it's incredibly inefficient. It sucks in SSF, and the best way to do it by far is just scourging your maps. Also, if I am wrong about the juicing for the Scourge maps, like I was talking about, feel free to correct me, but that is my current understanding of the mechanic, that it doesn't really matter what you juice into the maps. It doesn't actually change what is in the Scourged portion of the maps. That is my current understanding, but if I'm wrong, you guys feel free to let me know. Okay, so now we're on to the second half of the video. Why does this have dangerous implications for the future of the game? I kind of foreshadowed it a little bit earlier, but I've seen, and I know I'm about to talk about Reddit, but I've seen so many absolutely insane posts on Reddit regarding this, and it's like very concerning, because you know GGG listens to Reddit. Not as much as they used to, but they still take the sentiment, you know, they still take all of that stuff into consideration. Now, all I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna go through and dig through like tens of hours of old interviews and VODs to find where Chris said this, but some of you may remember, I think it was during Expedition League. It was Expedition League or the league before, and Chris was in an interview. I think it was on one of the community podcasts, probably Bay Class, and he was asked, Chris, what's up with all the splinters? Why do you guys add splinters to everything? Why do we always need splinters? Why can't we just get the boss fights? And then when you do add boss fights, how come they're like ultimatum where nobody ever encounters them? And then Chris says, well, see, we could do that. We could make it like the hard content very easily accessible to players. However, what we think players will do and what we've seen in the past is that anytime we give players agency over when they can do content, they will immediately do the hardest content when they're not ready for it. And then they'll complain that the game's unbalanced, the build, you know, their build's like not good enough to do it, and they'll complain that the game's not balanced, stuff's too hard, etc., etc., etc. And then he got a lot of pushback on that, and there was a bunch of stuff on Reddit at the time, like, oh, Chris thinks we're stupid, we can't think for ourselves, he thinks that we're just gonna like run in and do the hardest thing without thinking, and then blame it on GGG. Well, yeah. I think that's what Scourge has completely proven GGG, right? And they're learning that, for those of you who hate splinters, they're learning that systems like that time gate things, time gate, artificial time gate, they're not actual time gates. I've seen the word time gating thrown around a lot in PoE lately, and that's not what actual time gating is. But for the sake of the argument, yes, they will delay, they will add things behind a grind wall. To make sure that by the time people get there, they have adequate time to have built up their character to the strength to clear the content, right? And they're learning that that's the way to balance the game, because all of this stuff, it is the most insane shit I have seen on Reddit, where there was the guy running through with 3.6k life in a tier 16 map with 150, 200 stacks of Scourge. He enters Scourge and he instantly dies. It's like, yeah, no shit, dude. What I see are people constantly running through, taking Scourge to the absolute ridiculous amount, trying to full clear every map, having 200-300 plus stacks, and then getting mad when they die, and they don't even have tanky characters to begin with. They're like glass cannon softcore trade builds, which is fine if that's what you want to play, but you can't do Scourge content to that level if you're going to play a build like that. Like, people want everything. Some of the posts I've seen on Reddit this week have been just absolutely insane. Like the one guy talking about how, like some players expect the end game, the hardest, most aspirational content in the game to be difficult, and that's not how it should work. That end game content should be able to be cleared with 5k life and capped resists and like a minimal DPS and like basically no defenses and no damage, and you should be able to do everything in the game. And some of the stuff is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So I'm sorry if I'm calling out some of the people reviewing this video, or if you guys don't like this, but honestly, it's just insane. Yes, hard endgame content should be hard. It is endgame content. It should be challenging. If it takes you 100 plus hours to get to that point, it should be difficult. Another thing to know is the Scourge mechanic, man. This is the main point of the video. It's like, basically GGG's learning that if they let players decide what the power level of the game is going to be, what the difficulty is going to be, how much damage enemies deal, that players are always just going to juice it to the max, well past what their character is capable of handling, rather. And then they will go and they will complain on Reddit, talk about how it's overtuned, talk about how it's unfair. I've seen so much shit. Like the one guy who made the posts on Reddit, it was so funny. He's like, even hardcore players can't play the game. People are dying in unrolled white maps. Look at any rip clip. And the any rip clip was a hyperlink to Quinn's death on that terrible Onigoroshi chieftain build he had, where he just like popped in maps. And that was like, these posts are so disingenuous, man. I know it's not worth my time to argue with Reddit, but it is something I've seen like a ridiculous amount of these posts, to the point where I feel like I want to, like in the Scourge video here, it's something I want to address, because it's ridiculous, guys. Please. Like I have, like my builds are easily 100 times tankier than the builds in these posts. And I don't go to 200, 300 stacks of Scourge, okay? Sure, with a build like the builds like I play, you could take them to that, but you would probably get tapped and die every once in a while. But that's all right if you're playing software trade, right? As long as you're not trying to hit 100, it doesn't really matter if you die every once in a while and you want to juice like that. But you cannot be playing 3,000 life builds and tier 16 content to begin with, and then also be doing, you know, putting 300% increased damage on all your maps, along with Alk and Go, this mentality in like softcore that players should be able to Alk and Go every single map and just not care about map mods at all. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but the people that are complaining are like that. A large majority of the posts that I've seen are people with just the most ridiculous map mods running insanely high Scourge stacks, and it's like they just want to be angry. I agree that a lot of things about Scourge are messed up. The monster power is not one of them. If you play an incredibly squishy build and you juice the Scourge stacks to the absolute max and then you die, you have literally no one to blame but yourself. It is not GGG's fault, okay? With that out of the way, I think that's it for this video. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. I don't know. It's a rant video. First half about Scourge, second half about ridiculous people arguing bad faith arguments, I guess, on like why this league is bad and GGG's direction with the game and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, I agree. There's a ton of stuff I hate about Scourge. I'm not a huge fan of the Scourge League. I am a huge fan of a lot of the changes they made this league. The splinter stacks and stuff like that are amazing. Stuff like currency dropping in stacks. But as in terms of like the actual Scourge League mechanic, it's whatever. But the monster power is not the thing that I have an issue with. If they had never nerfed the spell casters, the blood guys and the lightning guys at the beginning of the league, I would be one of the people complaining about damage 100%, because that was super overtuned. But since then, it feels fair, man. It feels super fair. Yeah. Anywho, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry if you didn't like this video or if you didn't like my opinion, but at the end of the day, that is what it is an opinion. So hopefully we can still be friends if you don't agree with me. Anywho, I'm gonna head out. I gotta go stream. If you like the video, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. Tell me what I can do better. And if you like me, maybe consider subbing. And I also hear that hitting the notification bell does things. Anywho, take it easy, guys. See you on the other side.